problem number 10 from the Chapter 8 review sheet for statistics. But before I begin, I just want you to recognize how ultimately super high-tech I am being able to get this question onto my smartboard. Okay, so we're doing a regression analysis examining the relationship between the number of years of formal education a person has and their annual income. So I'm going to start just reading that. I'm going to start drawing myself a picture because I need to have a picture, make a picture, make a picture, make a picture. And what it's telling me is the relationship between the number of years of formal education a person has and their annual income. Well, just from looking at that, I can tell that what they want on my explanatory variable is years education, and my response variable is their annual income. That makes sense because you would figure that, you know, the more education that a person has, the higher their income is going to be. So actually, in just saying that, I already determined that I probably have a relationship here that is going to be some kind of a positive slope. The more education, the higher the annual income. And in fact, that is borne out to me with the data that they're giving me. Because what they're giving me over here is kind of a printout from a statistics program. And there's some information in it that's important, and there's some information in there that's irrelevant. But the first thing that they're telling me right off the very top is that my dependent variable, remember dependent variable is the old-fashioned way of saying my y variable, is income, which is exactly what I have. I have my dependent variable as income. And they're also telling me that my r squared is 25.8%. So that is going to give me a little bit more information. If my r squared is 25.8%, I want to figure out my r. So I'm going to take the square root of 0.258. And I'm going to find out that my r, I'm going to write that down right over here, my r is equal to we'll call it 0.508. So I've got myself a little bit more data. I'm not totally positive I'm going to need that data, but I have it nonetheless. Now, the other thing that they're telling me here, this information is S38. We don't really need that right now. We probably won't need that for another couple of chapters. And we don't need this SE of cutoff of coefficient either. So what we do need is they have these two columns here. It says a list of the variables and a list of that coefficient of the variables. So in order to solve this question, I'm going to have my formula y hat is equal to b sub 0 plus b1x. Because that's the only way I'm going to be able to figure out some of these numbers. I need to translate my correlations and my numbers here into the actual units that we have. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this something intelligible so I'm less likely to make a mistake. Well, my y variable is my annual income. So I'm going to call that income hat is equal to b sub 0 plus b sub 1 education, which is my x variable. So it's beginning to make a little bit more sense. And now when I look at this information that they've given me up here, well, let's first, they're giving me the variable and they're giving me the coefficient. Now, for the variable education, which is right here, they're giving me the coefficient. They've already done a calculation for me. So that is going to be, my B1 is going to be 2668.45 times education. My B sub 0, if you remember your old line formula of a line, I'm going to write it over here, I'll write it right in the middle. Y equals mx plus b. The m is our slope, and the b is our constant. And the b, in the traditional form of the equation of a line, is the same thing as our b sub 0. So although, because of the old type of computer programming that they did, they're calling it a variable, really it's not a variable, it's a constant. But they're giving it to me. They're telling me that my constant is 3984.45. And that is equal to my income hat. So they're giving me my formula. Isn't that nice of them? Income hat is equal to 3,984.45 plus 2668.45 times the number of years of education. Let's pretend for a minute that this line that I drew right here actually represents this equation that we just derived. Doesn't really matter if it does or not, as long as we get the concept. So I need to know that if I have 1, 2, 3, 4 years of education, well, I want to know predicted, how much income is that for 2 years of education, and how much income is predicted for 4 years of education, and then I just subtract the two and I take the difference. So let's do the math. Pull the screen down a little bit. So let's go income hat, we'll call it 2 for 2 years, is equal to 3984.45 plus 2668.45 times 2. That's the 2 years of education. Pull up the calculator, hope I can do this. 3984.45 plus 2668.45 times 2 is equal to 9321.35. So let's write that down here. Let's write it down over here. 9321.35. Okay. Now let's do the same thing for 4 years. Income hat for 4 years is equal to 3984.45 plus 2668.45 times 4 years of education. Go back to the calculator. I'm just going to call up my equation right there. Once I've got it in there, I'm going to change my 2 to a 4 and hit enter, and I get 14,658.25. 14,658.25. Now I just need to subtract the 2, so I'm going to go that minus my 9,300. I push enter, and it gives me an answer of 5,336.90, which, going back to my problem, it's right, whoops, and away it went. Moved it away. Let's not make it go away. I can circle it. Well, it's not going to let me circle it, but it's answer number C, as you can see. As you can see if I didn't have that thing in the way. Answer number C. There we go.